I named the title Becoming an AI Power Player because a lot of people think that they don't know AI or that it might be an uneducated question or they don't really know how to navigate it. And in some of the research that I've seen and that I also believe is that if you can just save 30 minutes a day using AI in your role, you're a power player. You're already ahead and you're starting to think about some of the ways in which you could delegate busy work to AI. So I'm your guide today. I'm our Chief Experience Officer, and I've been at Cadellnet for the last 10 years. And so in my role, I get to work most closely with our sales, account management, and marketing teams. But I'm also a really busy mom of two. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 5.5-year-old. And so getting everything done in a single day and staying organized is something that I have to intentionally do. And when these tool sets became available earlier this year, particularly Microsoft, I wanted to leverage them. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff I got to get done in a day. And how can I do that? And how can I use this technology to do it? So that's kind of how I got into this AI champion role. I call myself a champion. I'm not an expert. I think it's maybe a little bit silly to call myself an expert when the field is changing so rapidly. And I've really focused on generative AI, and that's the kind of AI that you use to draft a document or create an image for you. And so that's what we'll talk about mostly today. And then I love finding answers to questions. So there might be things that you ask me today that I don't know the answer to or that I haven't thought about, and we'll find that out because I get as much from these group settings as I give, hopefully. And so you may have a great use case that I haven't thought about and I'd love to explore. All right, so we're going to fly through these next slides. I want to give enough time for the demo, and I love that we got to share some of this. I included maybe four quotes here on how important AI is. So AI won't replace humans, but the humans that are using AI will replace those without it. I like this because it really talks about amplifying. Every example that you shared, you're amplifying and you're also enhancing. So the reality is this technology will enhance us. So it's going to augment what we do. It's not meant to replace us. You can't just do it and send it and just hope it works out well in the world. And then this is like, I think, kind of a grounding statement that people conclude too early that they understand it. There are so many advancements. There's so much work that has to be done to make sure that the AI alignment, which is really the kind of industry term for the responsibility that comes with harnessing this technology. So we'll level set on some basics. We'll go through some research. I'm going to fly through this. I'll send out the deck afterwards if you have more questions, and then we'll demo it. So I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. Yesterday we asked what artificial intelligence is. We're like, okay, what's AI? And someone was like, well, it's the, I guess, opposite of like natural stupidity, which is the funniest answer that I've ever gotten in my life and something that we did not expect, but it made me laugh. But basically, it's taking collections of data through algorithms, which are just sets of instructions. And then these are models are automating tasks that usually require human intelligence and time, right? Summarizing a document, creating a job description. So if AI is the goal, then machine learning is how we get there. So we train machines, not me, I say we, but to identify patterns and make predictions. So if you are in Spotify and it makes a song recommendation, if you're on your phone and it's recommending a reply, that's all AI. So you're using that already, and it's available and you can use it in your work now and in a way that's very integrated with what you do and safe, and we'll talk about that. So it identifies pattern, and then we run the data again and again and again through the system, and it learns and it gets better. And the more that we use it, the more that it can improve itself. And that's where some of the fear, I think, comes in. So there's a lot of big players in the platform. We talked about ChatGPT. Google Gemini is fantastic and one of my favorites outside of the work environment. Microsoft Copilot is built on the OpenAI framework. So if you use ChatGPT, it's the same framework that Copilot is built on. IBM Watson and Salesforce has a lot of AI. The purpose-built AI can go on for days and days and days, but I wanted to highlight some of the biggest players and the biggest platforms that people are using in these models. This is a really complicated way to describe Microsoft as a $13 billion investment in OpenAI as a company, and Copilot is the for-profit part of that. That's how they're monetizing part of their investment and bringing that into the working world. So there's a lot of different aspects to it, but that's just kind of what this describes. They started that partnership in 2019, so it's been coming. So essentially, it's more than just OpenAI AI in the platform. I won't get too technical about this, but it essentially takes all of your own data, your chats and your emails. It's looking through files and helping you make assessments. And I'll show an example. I'm asking it to write a job description for me. And when you do that in ChatGPT, it's going to take all of the information available online and make that assessment for you. When you're doing that inside of your own environment, it's actually taking very specific data and information and making some of those assessments for you. This is a pretty good job based on what you're asking to do. This is the important part. And this is not what happens with other AI, is that your prompts, so what you're typing in that blank box, the responses and the grounding data are not used to train the foundational models. So all of the information and the way that you're working with it inside of Copilot stays within your organization. And for a lot of I would argue every organization, but most of the organizations that we work with don't want intellectual property. They don't want IP. They don't want to be leaking or the ability to exfiltrate information. That's your work. And so this is just a safe way to do it. I think the other point here is that it's all contained, so it's just a lot more convenient. I don't have to go out and do it in another program and then copy and bring it back in and do all of this stuff. It also makes it a little easier. So this is one of my favorite slides. There's a work trend index report. It was done by Microsoft and LinkedIn. There's about 31,000 people that were surveyed. They did research at Fortune 500 companies, and they looked through trillions of their own usage data to come up with some of this. So this was released in May of this year. And in this report, they found 75% of people are already using AI at work. Which is incredible. But the most important piece of that, I think, they found about just under half of those people, about 46% of those people, had just started using it in the last 6 months. So even in the conversations that I was having in May of this year, there were a lot of, I don't use it at all, or I don't think my organization uses it, and people definitely are. So people say that it helps prioritize their workload. And helps them be more creative and get the bigger stuff done instead of the kind of monotonous or work that they don't want to be doing. I pulled this out because I think that this is kind of a cool stat that in this particular survey, 71% of employers said they would rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills. So if you are in interviews or you're talking with people that want to enter your organization, ask them what AI skills that they have. Understand how they use it. I think it's important. And then build your own AI skills, because that's a very marketable thing and you don't want to kind of be left behind, which is why you're here today. This is a different study. Microsoft did this. It was a workplace study. These are individuals that were using Copilot already. It was an 11-week study, and they found these are the roles that had an AI advantage. There's a lot of reasons behind it. But this is why I love it so much, because the third one on the top that can save the most time is business development, right? And so we use it to help on all of our sales activities. We use it for transcriptions. We use it to recall and summarize information, craft really good emails that might not have turned out as well. But you can kind of like find where you're at on this spectrum. The most important thing is even in the supply chain, people are finding time savings. Not as much, but they're finding it. But in this particular study, right, they found that if you could say 11 minutes a day, that's the tipping point where you maybe move from someone that's more fearful or novice into really exploring and trying and seeing a feature in a program and going, yeah, I'll give this a shot and see how it works out. So I would have assumed it would have been like a half an hour or an hour, but 11 minutes is what this particular study came up with. So 66% of leaders in not the prior study said they would not hire someone without AI skills, which was really surprising to me. They would rather hire a less experienced candidate than a more experienced one without. That's a little scary, but it makes sense. And then there was a 142 time increase in skills like Copilot and ChatGPT added to profiles last year. So that really speaks to why AI at work is getting real and how it's a marketable skill. So I'll go through this part real quick so we have enough time for the demo, but I would recommend if you want to become more well-versed in AI, and this is something that you are personally interested in, power players they found, from skeptics to novices, explorers, and power users, the people that moved into this category and were really able to find time savings, they researched and tried new prompts. They regularly experimented with different ways of using it. And that they, before starting any task, they just asked, like, could AI help me with this? Even I have to ask myself that because the ways that we're working are changing. So if you can do those three things, you can move from someone that's maybe saving a couple minutes a day to even more time than that, which is going to free yourself up for more high payoff activities. And this is really interesting too. This kind of calls back to some of the things that we talked about earlier. Those power players so that they can be more creative, that they can be more productive, and that they can focus on their most important work, right? I've got a lot of work to do in a day. I don't need to be spending 15 minutes after every meeting trying to type out my notes anymore. I used to do that. I have a lot of pride in the notes that I take, but now there's something that can replace and enhance the work that's doing. So this is what I find is really important. It's sometimes called prompt engineering, harnessing the skills that you use in order to get that blank prompt box and get out what you need is really important. There's a lot of LinkedIn Learning courses on this. I think they have more than 50, and and they're free, so you could use them. But think about like 4 different things when you're going and prompting. So we have a little handout too. So you can, a little card you can like put on your desk, but you really want to aim, which is, what do you want? Okay, I want a list of 3 to 5 bullet points, right? You maybe know that in your head, but if you just type in recap or summarize, it's not going to give you bullet points. So you have to speak very clearly to it. Context, why you need it and who is involved. And in the context of Copilot, it very clearly knows the roles and responsibilities of people in your organization. And I'll show you an example of that for an upcoming meeting. The expectations piece, when you go, oh, that wasn't very good. That sounded like a robot wrote that. You can give it very clear direction. I want it friendly and authoritative. And there's some features built in that you can like pick list stuff to say, I want it shorter, I want it longer. And then the source. This is very different from using other bots or Gen AI, is that you can use information that you already have available to you, chats and emails over the last 2 weeks. So this quote just talks about, it's a tech disruption. The people that are experimenting and really understand what it means to harness this technology will find tangible business impact. There's dollars here to find in the way that we run our company, whether it's fundraising better, whether it's saving time, whatever that looks like for your organization, it's going to happen. So I'll skip over this one because we'll go into these details on how this works inside of the different Microsoft applications that we'll use today. So we can only scratch the surface. You're going to get hopefully excited about this, and we're going to run out of time. So we'll talk about what that could look like afterwards. I said this before. If I don't know the answer, look it up or find resources that we can find it. And then live demos are scary. I've never had it like tank on me, but we'll even try a few things and we'll fail at it. And I'll show you how you can kind of work from it. So we'll get started. So one of the things that I want to show you how to do is how to use Copilot to go through a task from end to end. So we're going to imagine that we need to hire a new account manager. I'm going to walk you through some steps on how you can use it in all the different programs that Microsoft has available to get a jump start on the tasks that you have. So in this example, I'm going to write inside of Copilot, and I'm currently inside of Teams right now, help me frame up an argument on why we should hire another account manager. I can tell that. So I'm in Copilot. I'm going to give it my prompt. I've given it pretty clear direction, and it's going to generate content for me, and it's going to help me frame up this argument. And it's going to use documents that exist in our environment today, right? So workload distribution, it would allow Collate to enhance retention strategies. It's probably pulling a strategy document there, and I'll show you what that looks like. We can foster specialization within the team or tailor expert services to clients. Financial, it's pulling our financial data. So in this case, the financial justification, it's actually pulling important documents to our organization to help me frame up this argument. And by the way, it's going to give me where these documents are located so I can pull them up and I can reference them and I can easily click on them. So this is pretty relevant. So say I read over this and I go, this is really great. I really like this information. This is going to help me create a really good case to our CEO why I want to hire this position. It's also going to allow me to click and give me some additional prompts. So can you help me with the financial justification? What specific feedback should I reference? So it's going to help me be a little bit more creative. It's going to give me more, and you can really play around with it. And I would encourage you to get curious with this. Say that I want to end it there. I'm really not interested in the prompts that it's giving me, but I determined these are really good justifications. And now that I want to draft an email. So can you help me draft an email to our CEO on why we should hire this person? I'm going to ask this question back. It has context from the previous task that we were working on. And so now it's going to craft this message for me. I'm going to review it and make sure that I like it, or modify it, change it, shorten it, and I'll show you how to do that. So it's pretty good. It gives me a good start, and I can regenerate it. I can do a lot of different things, but pretend that it's exactly the way that I want it. I can easily press copy, and I can take it into an email. Now, I could do this work directly inside of Outlook as well. And so when you are in Copilot and you go from application to application, it's always going to allow you to draft. It will allow you to create whatever you want. So know that you could do it here as well. So I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to delete this little area right here. No big deal. And I might review it. And then I may decide, you know what? I think this is a little bit long. I don't really like it. I thought that I liked it, but I really want to work on it in a different way. There's two ways I can do that. I can redraft it entirely, or I can ask for coaching. So say I redraft it entirely. There's a lot of ability to regenerate work. And so you can get a Jumpstart, but if you don't like it, you can easily start it over. So this is pretty direct. Let's hire a new account manager. More prompts down here. Maybe I know Brad pretty well and he likes a well thought out argument, or maybe I usually write a little bit longer of an email. So I can simply click that prompt and I can ask for it to make it longer. So it'll create a draft. It's going to take a second. Great. It's longer. I like it. So I'm decided that I want to keep it, right? There's nothing else that I want to change. There's no other information. I decide to keep it. But wait, add more information about health and growth, and we'll see what it generates. So you can, again, as you get more creative and as you think about things differently, you can make that quick change. Great. Love it. I'm going to keep it. And, this account manager is going to contribute to the health and growth as a company. That's a great statement to make. There's another feature I wanted to show, and this is Copilot coaching. So whether you wrote this email on your own or you wrote the email with Copilot, it can analyze your email. So if you're used to, there's other products out there that do this, that help create, edit a lot. But the power is having it in the program you're doing the work in. You don't have to go to another area. You don't have to bring it in. You can do it all inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So it's going to generate some suggestions, and it will, here in a minute, give me some pretty good talking points. Now, I don't do this with every email. I think it'd be silly. It would be a waste of time if every email that you wrote, you used Copilot coaching. But large communications that have a purpose, that might be complicated, you can come up with the use cases of how and why you would use it. Our sales team uses it when they send out, and it gives us the ability to maybe make some changes. It doesn't make those changes for you, but it allows you to kind of get some intel or some more information about what you're doing. So it does ask me to clarify the call to action, and it wants me to see if he's available for a meeting on Thursday or Friday morning. So I might go, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask for the meeting, and it would make that suggestion. So again, I could make those suggestions. And right before I send this email, I think, wow, I should probably include a job description. So I'm going to go over to Word, and I'm going to open a brand new document, and I'm going to draft a job description. So I'm going to say, can you write a job description for an account manager focused on health and growth? Because we put that in our last email and it will make sense. So let's generate. Now, if we had a file to reference, we could also pick that file and it would do a good job picking up that information, but pretend we're just starting from scratch. This is a brand new position or a position that we haven't hired in a while. And so it's going to draft this for us. So I see a lot of people doing this work in ChatGPT. That's fantastic. Or other programs out there. It's still built on the same framework, so it's OpenAI framework. And many times it's just using your corporate data and information to help make it a little bit more customized. So this is a pretty good job description. It's a little shorter than our normal ones. But again, we can make it formal. We can make it more casual. We can add information. But say we really like it. We don't really want to add more detail. We can click keep it, or very easily we can regenerate the whole thing. So we're going to keep it. And let's say, you know what? I really think they need 5 years of experience. So really, really easy to edit. So we're going to save it and say, now I like this job description. I think it's fantastic. It's a really big presentation or a really big initiative that I want. So let's say I want to actually put it into a PowerPoint presentation. And this is also very easy to do. So throughout all of your applications, you're going to have this little Copilot button. And when you click that button, it will take you to the Copilot section of PowerPoint. And when you do that, I can actually create a presentation from a file. So I can draw that file. Let's pick this one right here. And so it's going to take a few seconds, but what it's going to do is it's going to bring the document that I just created in Copilot for a job description for an account manager, and it's going to put it into a presentation for me. And now we have a full presentation, Gen AI picked images, that's going to allow us to walk through what hiring this account manager would look like. So did a pretty good job. It put in images. These are your images, so you're approved to use them in your own marketing as well. And say that maybe I don't like this image and I don't know how to replace it, but I know that I wanted to replace it. So let me just type in a prompt. And this is where I encourage people to get curious and just try. So replace this image with 3 people looking at a computer. What's going to happen here? So it's going to work on a response. And it can't handle that prompt for me. I did that on purpose, but it's going to help you. So you don't have to memorize all of these things, these prompts. You don't have to just be some sort of a genius to execute on this. And so it's going to guide us. So we go, add an image of a woman sitting at a desk, because we're going to give it clear direction. So in this case, it's going to add it. It's not going to replace that image. And here in a second, we're going to see what that looks like. So it's redesigned our slide. I think it did a pretty good job. I'm happy with that image. It edited the slide maybe in a way that I didn't love, and it's very easy to go back in and retool this slide, make changes, delete things. I may not like the font there, so it really gives you a leg up on the creation. So again, all I would do from here is save this file. It's perfect. I love it, or I can edit it. There's a lot of prompts that you could go through. So throughout all of the programs, you could easily kind of click around. And I always encourage individuals that I work with to explore and to ask because there's ways to create and understand. So that's the PowerPoint side. So now we can go back to our email. We can easily attach those 2 documents and we can send it off And by the way, once we do that, Copilot can help us schedule a meeting, follow up with information, attach documents, just all of the extra stuff that takes some of your time to do. So one of the things that I find that people have a lot of value right off the bat is actually using Copilot within Teams and in Teams meetings. So once you turn on the transcriptions or record the meeting, you can do either. It's going to do a couple things for you. It's going to take all of the information being said by everyone in the meeting and allow you to create key insights, recap notes, assign action items. And so we'll walk through what that looks like. This is a typical meeting. We run our meetings in a Scrum style, and Windows 10 is going end of life next year. So it's really important for us to prepare all of our partners for that end date to get them onto Windows 11. So this meeting has several different people from all parts of the organization working together on this project. It's a meeting that I always like to attend, but sometimes I can't. There's an scheduling challenge, if you will, or I've got something else that I need to work on, so I can't make it. Copilot allows me to very easily recap, check in, review action items and notes, and it's going to do all of this automatically. So when we have our transcriptions turned on or when we have our recording done, after the meeting is completed, it's going to generate all of our notes for us, and it's even going to figure out our follow-up tasks. So this is a meeting that everyone had virtually. We have people all over the Midwest joining these meetings, and so it's going to give really good items. And so in this example, the first one that Max has an action item reviewing the dashboard for accuracy and usability and suggest improvements if necessary. That's pretty general. But the next one I think is a really good way to look at this. Rachel is tasked with drafting a separate communication for clients. And so that's very clear. Everybody leaves that meeting knowing that that's what needs to happen, but it's very clearly in here as well. So that happens automatically. Nobody has to do anything in order for that to be executed. Now, say I miss the meeting or I'm late to the meeting, I can also, during the meeting or after the meeting, ask it to recap. And because it's transcribed, we have that transcription, it's saved, and I can go back to it and recall. So I've asked to recap the entire last meeting with key insights. And here in a second, it's going to generate a response for me to help catch me up on what occurred during that meeting. And then I can ask additional follow-up questions. There's a lot that I can do. Okay, so it must have been quite a long meeting. I'm going to scroll back up so you can see it. And it's very similar to actually the AI notes that were generated, but a little bit more detailed. It's going to prompt me, right? So it's going to ask me if there's other things that I want to do, and I can easily list those action items. So if you're ever in meetings and it's unclear who needs to be doing what, it's very clear in these cases. I think the very important part is that it actually pulls up the transcription and it references why it believes whatever it's saying is true. And so if you don't believe it or if there's fear there that it could be incorrect, you can easily go back to it, hover over it, and see why it made that. So in this case, it's given me all of the action items. I think it's done a great job. And by the way, if I just want to copy and paste that and put it into an email, or if there's something else that I want to do with that, I simply copy it and I can paste it wherever I would like. And it's going to keep all of that formatting and it will help me stay organized. So what if I miss the meeting and I want to ask, do I have any action items? So I wanted to show you that real quick too. We'll find out because I actually didn't attend this meeting. So we'll find out if I have any. I have no action items. I have nothing to do in this meeting. Again, there's a lot of other cool stuff that you can do. You can look for app mentions. You can get really detailed. So in this case, and these are, I was mentioned in chat. And so Max and Gavin had a quick conversation and I can follow up with them or they can follow up with me about what needs to happen next. So we find this really powerful in many different applications. I think in business development and sales, it's huge. I know that project managers love it. And for internal meetings, I've seen a lot of really cool use cases where it allows us to move on and have accurate information. So where I used to go to a meeting I'd leave with a different perception of what needed to happen, or I'd take a bunch of notes, and then someone else would leave. It just creates clarity in the way that we work together, and it saves me time because now after the meeting is done, I don't have to worry about it. I can move on to my next task, which is a much higher payoff activity than me sitting down, taking notes, and emailing them out to everybody.